All right. So now that we've talked a little bit about autoimmune disorders, I think it's beneficial to note that autoimmune disorders fall under a larger umbrella of ailments known as chronic illnesses. Now, chronic illness is something that it's a term that gets thrown around here and there, largely because the definition is so broad. For example, the CDC itself defines chronic illness as any condition that lasts 1 year or more and requires ongoing medical attention, or that limits activities of daily living, or both. So there's a whole lot of different conditions that can fall under that category. Some of those conditions include epilepsy, heart conditions of all kinds, diabetes, cancers, fibromyalgia, PCOS. There's all kinds that you've probably heard of. And even though there are so many widely vast conditions that can be considered a chronic illness, a lot of them actually do share a lot of the same characteristics. For example, most of them you'll find they have to go to frequent doctor visits, which piles up in medical bills and stress trying to schedule with work. A common theme is fatigue and energy conservation, as well as the emotional toll of knowing that what you're going through may not go away, and sometimes you know it won't. So sometimes it can be really difficult to explain what it's like living with a chronic condition, because usually you're sick and then you get better. So someone by the name of Christine Miserandino came up with a way to describe it when she was sitting in a cafe with her friend who asked her point blank what it was like to live with lupus. The story goes a bit like this. So when asked with the question, Christine was taken aback and looked around the cafe thinking, okay, how can I explain this? And she stumbled upon a bouquet of spoons, as she called it. She handed this bouquet of spoons to her friend and said, all right, these spoons are basically your tickets for the activities that you have to complete during the day. If you complete an activity, you have to spend a spoon, and you're only given 12 to start with. So Christine started listing off the activities that she would go through in a normal day, and her friend saw her spoons disappearing quite fast. So a person who is sick has to count their spoons and make sure that they're spending just the right number, but a healthy person has never been handed these spoons saying, you have lupus or whatever condition, and can spend their energy freely. I'd like to do an activity in which we have to count our spoons. So if you would take out the worksheet of your spoons for the day, I gave you 12 like the story, and whenever I list an activity that you have done today prior to this class, I'd like you to cross it off and write what the activity was so you can see where your spoons are spent. I'll give you a moment to pull it out and we'll get started. All right. I would like you to cross off a spoon if today you took a shower. Cross off a spoon if you got dressed. Cross out a spoon if you shaved. Cross out a spoon if you applied makeup. Cross out a spoon if you've made a meal. Cross out a spoon if you blow dried or styled your hair. Cross out a spoon if you walked to school or walked your dog, took a walk in general works. Cross off a spoon if you had to stand at work or in a class for school. Cross out a spoon if you didn't get 8 hours of sleep last night. It's probably most of you. Cross off a spoon if you've forgotten something today. That could have very well been your medication if you were a Spoonie. Cross off a spoon if you skipped a meal today. Cross out a spoon if you were running late somewhere and had to rush. Cross out a spoon if you sat on the floor. Cross out a spoon if you had to get up from a low-sitting chair or one without a back. Cross off a spoon if you exercised. Cross off a spoon for every chore you completed today. For example, doing laundry, washing the dishes, picking up after yourself, sweeping the floor, whatever it is you may have done. I'm going to stop there, but obviously there's many more tasks you could have completed today, and I'd like to take a little poll of how many spoons you have left. I'd like you to raise your hand if you have 6 or more spoons left. Raise your hand if you have 5. 4. Does anyone have 3 spoons? Who has 2 spoons? Is anyone left with 1 measly spoon? Does anyone have no spoons left? All right, well, that's our day so far, but we're all sitting in a classroom right now, and I'm pretty sure you have more things left to do. So we're going to need a spoon to get home. We're going to need a spoon to figure out something to eat. We're going to need a spoon to maybe wash our face or get dressed in our pajamas or shower if you shower at night. Perhaps you have to take care of a pet or do homework or chores around the house. Maybe you'd like to do something fun, something recreational, like reading a book or staying up playing video games. That's a lot of spoons. I have 8 on my hands right now of things that we might have to do after this class, and I doubt very seriously that some of you only used 4 spoons so far. Now, the thing about chronic illness and being a spoonie, which is what people call themselves if they use the spoon theory daily, is once you run out of spoons, you're done. You gotta stop in your tracks, halt absolutely everything, and go to bed. This may mean you don't get to wash your face, or change into PJs, or do whatever else you have to do, homework or anything. And if you don't stop, everything you are doing takes away a spoon from tomorrow. And if you stay up later than you should have, those lost hours of sleep will also take away a spoon. So you can see how this would compound very quickly, because if we continue doing what we're doing, sometimes by necessity, in a society that really tells you it's not okay to slow down, you could wake up one morning with 3 spoons, and what are you supposed to do? Maybe feed yourself 3 times? It's very difficult, and I hope you can empathize a bit better with students who may be struggling with this energy conservation. It's a hard trick to learn, and it really is a struggle every day. So while they may have good days and bad, it's very easy to see the snowball effect of those bad days and the decisions that they have to make. By just recording yourself, teaching a lesson or lecture, and providing materials for them to study on their own when they have the chance really helps to conserve their spoons and give them a better chance at a fair education. Thank you for listening, and I'll turn it back to my live self.